Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for our live NSO session. Today, we'll be talking about UD Welcome Days, and it's hosted by the Office of Orientation and Transition Programs, University Media Services, and our fabulous partners at Residence Life and Housing. So again, we'll just be talking about UD Welcome Days and the movement process, answering a little bit of questions you may have about Residence Life and Housing. If you have any questions during the session, please feel free to type them in our Q&A boxes, and we'll go ahead and monitor that. We'll answer your questions as they come in and as we are able. And we will also try to answer a few of your questions live. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Michelle, who will go ahead and kick us off.
Thanks so much for that warm welcome, Trevor. I really do appreciate it. Welcome, everyone. My name is Michelle Kane. I use she, her pronouns. I'm the Director of Housing here in Residence Life and Housing at the University of Delaware. Tonight's presentation is all about the move-in process. So I'm going to ask that we get to that next slide, please. Because the welcome move-in process is part of the first start of that welcome days that we have at the university. We're excited to welcome just about 4,000 of our first-year students onto the campus this fall. If you've got a cell device and are able to screenshot at this point, you can take a look at that and you see that QR code. That QR code is to our move-in guide on our website. So I welcome you all to click on that and to visit us frequently, as we will be making a lot of different updates as we go along. Again, this presentation is really going to be covering the steps of move-in. So on this next slide here, I'm going to show you that we have a couple of pieces that are important. You've got the move-in guide, and some of our dates are important. If you have a student participating in UD marching band only, they'll be moving in on August the 18th. You can also ask for an early arrival, and this is available to all students on Wednesday, August 23rd. There is a fee. Our regular first-year move-in dates are Friday, August 25th, and Saturday, August the 26th. And all of our move-in dates on that Friday and Saturday are by appointment only. There's another webinar. I appreciate everybody joining in today. It's July 11th. But I encourage everybody to also attend or recommend to friends and family who are also maybe coming to the University of Delaware to join us on August the 2nd. Let's start on our next slide, and that way we can get into some of the details here. So before we even get to move-in, you need to know a little bit about move-in. We send all of our communications and assignment information to students at their @udel.edu email address. We don't send that much to our families, and I apologize for that, but you have access to our website at all times to see all of the things that we are pretty much sending to them, but the details are sent to them. Our students got initial information about their assignment back on June the 22nd, I think that was. And in there, they had their building location. So that's just a general information as well as their roommate information. If your student hasn't seen that yet, please get in touch with us. The move-in appointment came about a week later on June the 29th, and their full assignment will come that first week of August. So I'll get to that next slide, please, so you can see a little bit about our move-in guide. There are frequently updated, frequently asked questions. You'll come there and you'll see things about what to bring, what should be left at home, information about the move-in appointment, information about rooms, and how to do early arrival if that's requested. Again, our website is very accessible. Information is frequently being updated, and I encourage you to take a look at it at least weekly. And get to that next slide, and just some things that you're prepping as you're even coming here is about what is the space like. We have virtual tours available for each of our first-year residence halls, which is representative of a room in the building. We don't have tours of every single one of our buildings, unfortunately, every single one of our rooms, so they do vary a little bit, as does our furniture. So you might see information about furniture, or you see something in a screenshot and you're like, oh, that's the furniture that's there. It might be changed by the time that you get here. So please be flexible, understanding that the space can be a little bit different than what's represented, as well as the furniture being a little different. The one thing that everybody gets though, there are a twin extra long bed for each student, a desk with a chair for each student. There is also a wardrobe, or it's a closet with a dresser. So those are the things that you'll definitely have in the room per each student. You don't get that actual room number until that first week of August is when we'll be sending that out for students with the actual room number and the specific building that they're in. And I know some of you might need that now as you're trying to think about ordering different items or that you need to provide a specific location. Please be patient. We won't be able to release that until that time. So let's get to that move-in process on the next slide. My move-in tip is that before you even come, you need to know your move-in appointment. As I noted, those were sent out to students on about June 29th, and the subject in email was UD Housing, your fall 2023 move-in appointment. That move-in appointment is important, and let's talk about that on the next slide. The appointment and date is because each roommate were given the same appointment or at the same time or an adjacent time on that same day. And floor communities were all assigned on the same day as well. We do this to both help the roommates get together and connected on that day, as appointments set for that purpose. We'd like for you to stick to those appointments as best as possible, but we understand you might need to change. So on that next slide, I'll show you that the student can do this. The student will have to be the one that does it. It's their My Housing portal. The student can go into there and they will be provided with opportunity to change their appointment for Friday or Saturday within the same day, or they can change days. Now, this is not the page for requesting to come in early, only for the changes for the move-in appointment on the 25th or 26th. And we do have spaces limited, and they're limited for a reason. So if you don't see the time that you desire, it's because we've reached capacity for that day and time. We limit capacity for any specific appointment time because we are trying to manage traffic with nearly 4,000 students and their families arriving on those 2 days in the town. This portal process, though, continues to remain open until 5 p.m. on Tuesday, August the 15th. So you might find more options that come up as things change because other people will change their appointment and their spot then becomes open. Some reasons that you might need a change are travel plans or work schedules. We get it. We have one day of opening that is a weekday. We have one day of opening that's a weekend. People have different work schedules. So we did our best to be as accommodating as possible. Let me tell you a reason not to change. Don't change to get there before your roommates get there so that you're the first one in. Try to be your best self and be sure that you're communicating with your roommates to make sure that you're connecting with them about room setup and other needs. We'll get to that next slide so that we can talk about that early arrival. Early arrival is on August the 23rd. That's a Wednesday. And we do it from 5 to 7 p.m. There is no appointment necessary, but you do need to sign up for it. There is a fee that is with that as well. So that is a $100 fee for our first year students. When students come on that day, there is not move-in help. There's no appointments, and the student will go directly to the building. Again, as long as the student signs up for that early arrival, they'll be sent those details as well. About that $100 fee, we do have a program available to first-year students on the Friday and Saturday called our Blue Hen Helpers. We allow students, any student, including first-year students who arrive early, to participate in that Blue Hen Helper program and have that $100 fee waived. I am the parent of a first-year student, and believe it or not, my first-year student will be moving in early, and they will be a Blue Hen Helper so that we are not going to have to pay that $100 early arrival fee. If your student is in UD Marching Band, their move-in time is going to be on August 18th. They will be provided many details by the director of the UD Marching Band program and should be looking at those emails and watching for them to get the specifics on their move-in date. Please know that's the only program that's allowed and able to move in on the 18th. There are other programs that are going to be listed on that August 23rd that our partners across the campus might be doing some pre-arrival programs. Again, those pre-arrival programs will be forwarding you information as well about what is expected and what you need to do. If you become a part of a pre-arrival program, please be sure that you are doing the request to do the early arrival. We don't know all the people who they're expecting all the time, so it is important that if you're doing that early arrival as a part of that program, you're completing our process as well. All right, we're going to get to that next slide and talk about a couple more pieces. So these are our move-in steps. That arrival to the check-in area, the unload and go process, generally getting moved in, and our UD welcome days. So we'll get started with step one. This is for our process for those Friday and the Saturday appointment times. On those days, you're going to arrive to the athletic complex at the appointment time. So if your appointment time is at 9:15, you're welcome to arrive a little bit early. But when you arrive, you're actually going to complete an online arrival form and wait to receive a text to get into the check-in area. Once you get a text to say, please come into the check-in area, the student will get their room key and a map to their residence hall. Again, the specific location at the athletic complex will be sent to the students in August as we get the finalized appointment times. When they get there, again, you're welcome to be there early. We intend to have some information booths from assorted partners across the campus. There are expected to be some food trucks available in case you're in need of some food at that time. You're welcome to come in and utilize the restroom. But please know, if you arrive 2 or 3 hours early before your appointment, your students still won't be able to make the check-in. With about 4,000 students arriving on those days, we have a very regimented plan for our traffic arrival, so we can make it as easy as possible to get around town and not wait in continued lines in traffic across the town area. Let's go to step two. Step two will provide you very specific maps to get to the residence hall. Again, the student will receive that map at the point of that check-in station in our check-in area athletic complex. You're going to utilize that map, not use your GPS, because again, we have our campus partners, our Newark Police, and our University of Delaware Police Department working in tandem to make sure that traffic is flowing around the town in a very specific pattern. They will be sure that if there's any bottlenecking, to be able to be on that spot to help manage that traffic. But it's important to make sure that you're following those patterns. At the point that you get to the residence hall, you're going to be parking in spaces that we don't usually allow you to park. So it's important to note, on move-in timeframes, we usually have our fire lanes open. You see in this picture, this is right in front of Reading Hall, that people are parked right on the sidewalk. So normally that is an everyday sidewalk. Of course, if there's an emergency, it becomes a fire lane, and fire safety vehicles can get through that area. So on those days, you're going to be able to get up onto sidewalks and other fire safety spaces that usually you can't. So it's important to recognize that this is an unload and go, because we try our best not to have any cars stopped and staying there. In those spaces, you're going to want to make sure that you get everybody unloaded. And I highly recommend getting stuff as orderly as possible into the car. And I know how challenging that can be, but recognize that you're going to get all those items unloaded and onto the sidewalk. And I'll talk in a moment about helpers. But at that point, after you've gotten unloaded, you'll be provided additional directions on how to go to nearby long-term parking. Again, the map that you're provided that goes to the building also serves as your parking pass. Another important reason, make sure you go to the athletic complex on those first-year moving days on the 25th and 26th, and not directly to the building. So let's get to that next slide about some help on move-in day. Right there in the middle, we have a student wearing what we call a Blue Hen Helper t-shirt. It's a yellow t-shirt with that's UD is our mascot, their head on there, and the definition of what a blue hen is on the back. Now, alongside on each side of that student is President Asanas and First Lady Asanas. So Dennis and Eleni definitely are around on Move-In Day. I don't know if they live too many boxes, but they're definitely around to welcome you on that Move-In Day. We have a lot of those folks that are helping on move-in days on both the Friday and the Saturday. Again, they're not available for those earlier days. I do apologize for that, but they're there on that Friday and Saturday. But even though they're there, be sure that you're ready to move stuff. Be sure that you're ready to be dressed in a way that is appropriate for getting up and down stairs, getting in and out of elevators. You certainly don't want to get your foot crushed by a cart and where those are available, but want to make sure that you're prepared to get that moving going. We have had many a beautiful move-in day. I can say in the 24 years plus that I've been at the University of Delaware, I've only seen rain twice. If you were in the Northeast today or in the Mid-Atlantic region, This is about what weather is like on move-in day. It is going to be hot. You are going to sweat. It will be a challenging day. There's no doubt about it. But please bring your patience and your flexibility as you get through that day. So let's get to that next step, because there's going to be a lot of unpacking that happens. Now, I can tell you that that stairwell on the side on the screen that you see that one picture, that stairwell I know is South Academy Residence Hall. It's a great residence hall and it does have elevators, but it might be a lot faster just to walk step up the stairs. Again, just be patient and get unpacked in that day. We don't set a specific time limit that we're tracking people on when you arrive and when you need to leave, but we ask everybody to stick around for about 2 hours. And we utilize that time frame because that's what we find most of our students are able to get their belongings unpacked, fully set up and fully decorated, and completely understanding how the room is going to be utilized. No, that usually comes in a couple of weeks as students are figuring out how they use the space, how they want to make sure that they get their space functional as well as in a way aesthetic to them. So be patient on that day. And if you've been to one of our NSO presentations, you may have heard me say that on that day, it's a lot. You might have 2 or 3 students in a room, and then they might have 2 or 3 or 4 family members there assisting them. On a Friday, that's a party if they're all in that space at the same time. So no, that's not the norm. The heat of the day is not the norm, but that day is an important day. So we ask you to take your time getting set up, but then also think about how are you going to get out and about in the space. Hopefully maybe grab something to eat, find a quick drink, or just kind of walk around a bit and kind of absorb everything that's happening on that day as you're making memories on your first days at the university. So let's go to that next important tip about move-in. When you're moving in and the roommates are all there, remember, it's the student's roommate relationship. I know I have a first-year student coming. They are in a triple, so there's going to be a lot of relationship building that happens in that space. I hope I've prepared and equipped my student for those things, but it'll be on them to figure that out. So do your best to let your student and equip your student now. And as a student, if you're watching this, make sure you start to do that, reaching out to your roommates. Please note that everybody's in different schedules. I'm originally from New York. I didn't graduate till the very end of June. As I noted, I have a student coming this fall. They graduated at the very beginning of June. Those schedules are really different. How people are paying attention to their emails or other communications can vary. So please be patient as you're trying to get in touch with each other. And the other piece is that we understand that sometimes things don't always go perfectly. I always joke again in new student orientation, I've had the same roommate for over 20 years. I married him, and sometimes there are still problems. So we'll get to that next slide, and I'll talk to you a little bit about those people who can help you, whether it's setting up your room or working through a roommate relationship, or even building on and connecting on the community. We have central staff like myself, or in the background, you might be hearing, listening to Danielle Marenko provide answers to questions on our Q&A screens, who are here to assist our students. But the real team is that in-hall staff. We have residence hall coordinators who are masters professionals who have experience in and they supervise our resident assistants, but they could be the first point of contact for our families if you have any questions. And for our students, we have resident assistants who are upper division students who go through extensive training, and where they really excel is genuine care for our residents. They are interested in students, in your hobbies, in your talents. They want to hear about the challenges that you're having and either be a sympathetic ear or provide advice or else guidance or referrals if needed. So please be sure to listen to those folks and connect with them. You'll start hearing from our in-hall teams in August after we send our final assignment information. The real magic of our experience, though, is engagement. So let's talk about that, how that happens in our step 4, getting connected and engaged on our campus. We have so many amazing events that happen. And on our next slide, we'll highlight a handful of those. I encourage you to download the UD Connect app. The UD Connect app has things like it announced things like this on it. It will have the full schedule of everything that is happening during Welcome Days. Welcome Days start on Friday the 25th and go through August the 30th. Don't worry if you're not arriving until Saturday, the August the 26th. you're not going to necessarily be missing out on anything that happened on Friday. We have just as many engaging activities and many of the same activities happening on Saturday that we had happening on Friday. There are other important things that happen during that time. We do our new student, the candlelight convocation ceremony, which is a really amazing thing that happens on our campus. This picture here, I believe, is from the engagement fair that typically happens that Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday of welcome days. We close down the street and all of our student organizations are out there for students to like kind of browse around and see what's going on. Our in-hall staff will be there to help guide students to those different activities as well. And if you're ever feeling like, I don't know, I'm not connecting, talk to your resident assistants. Our resident assistants, again, they are really there. They genuinely care and have concern. They might not be involved in something that you're interested in, but they likely have a friend or a colleague who is and can connect you with them. It's something that they do really, really well. I'm always impressed. They learn about people, they learn about what they're interested in, and they figure out ways to get people into those spaces. A lot of times they'll even go with you, or they might even know somebody else on the floor who's expressed the same interest and want to make sure that you have somebody to go with to an activity, to a meeting, to an event, and to get connected. What I can tell you is that, and I feel this way still strongly today, there's something for everyone. But sometimes you need to ask because it's not going to always come out and just be there in front of you at all times, except for our staff. The staff will always be there right in front of you and want to be there to give you that support that you need to find that success and engagement here at the university. So on our last slide here, I just want to show you and highlight again how to get in touch with us if you have any questions. Our phone number, if you didn't know, actually says 302-831-HOME. That's what 4663 translates into. Our team answers phones Monday through Friday, 9 to 4. We also have a reslife-housing@udel.edu email inbox that we do our best to get back to people within 24 to 48 hours. I can assure you that come our final assignment send out with email on that first week of August, phones will be really busy. We encourage you to only make a phone call or only send an email. We'll do our best to get back to you within 48 hours. Sending multiples doesn't get us back to you any faster. But we do want you to call us and connect to us if you have any questions. I only caught a couple of the questions that I want to make sure that I do provide some answers to. Somebody asked about a key. It is a physical key to the room, but the student's UDID will be what's utilized to enter into a residence hall. I happen to be here in the Gilbert Residence Halls where our Residence Life and Housing offices are. Now, our front doors are open during business hours, Monday through Friday. But in order for a student to get to any of the spaces where there are residential rooms, they have to actually be living here. The card knows that and will give them access if they live here. If some other student was in the building who say, wanted to come to our office, but they weren't living in Gilbert, they would not be able to get access either the stairs or through the elevator to get up that space. So if you are a family member coming to visit your student, again, during the week, you might be able to get in, but getting into one of the residential spaces, you wouldn't be able to do because you wouldn't have that UDID card. Students have been picking up their UDID cards during new student orientation. They've been encouraged to send a picture ahead of time so that it can be printed. But the UDID card office also has a selfie station where if students are taking their selfie first thing in the morning, they will have that card printed out for them and available at 3 o'clock during the resource fair of new student orientation. If your student is participating in virtual new student orientation, they will have the opportunity to pick up their card on that 25th or 26th at our check-in location in the athletic complex. And we've been working with the UD1 card office to find different formats for students who are arriving early to get their UD1 card. Students, you're going to need that card with you at all times to keep it protected. And I say keep it protected of not letting other people utilize it to let other people into a space. You need it for the dining hall, so you want to make sure that you have it available and don't lose it. You need it for places like the library and for our athletic area called Little Bob. You'll want it to get into UD events as well. So be sure you keep an eye on those pieces. For students who are arriving early, we actually have our buildings on what's called unlock during our actual move-in times. So students don't need a card during the actual move-in period, but as soon as that building gets locked up for the day, for the evening, they will need that card, and it will be activated as long as they check in with us. That's part of the check-in process, is that check-in process actually gives access to the student's ID card into our buildings. So there's a question about the fridges. We do have on our FAQ list, I'm sorry, because I can't get it up in front of me quickly enough probably, about the actual maximum size of our cubic footage for a little fridge. You're welcome to bring your own, or welcome to participate in the micro fridge rental program that we have at the university. The nice thing about that program, especially if you don't have a lot of room in the vehicle that you're going to be traveling with, is that provided that it's ordered on time, that unit will be here at the time that you arrive, and then they remove it at the end of the year after the student has left. There's a lot of questions about water fill stations. Every building is a little bit different, so I'm not too sure that we're going to be able to provide exact answers on those. The same things with toilets and showers and floors of each building. Every building varies a little bit. For the most part, it's at least 2 or 3. But like, for example, in Gilbert, there are 4 bathrooms on each floor. So multiply that. So every space is a little bit different. We don't necessarily always have vacuums and brooms in spaces for borrowing. So sometimes our staff have those, but that's not a standard thing. We don't have front desk services to lend out equipment all the time. So that's something that a lot of students bring on their own. On the card, I said that students were asked to send their picture ahead of time, and that ID could be picked up at NSO. If they did not send their picture ahead of time, or the picture was not, I'll go with appropriate, like the size or the lighting or something like that, and they couldn't create the ID. And the Union One card office the ID card office is really letting people know those pieces, say this picture isn't going to work. Please make sure you send another one. If they don't get that sent in, they have a selfie station that morning. Some question about the common kitchens. So all the common kitchens are a little bit different. There's one in a building area. They have a full range, so oven and stovetop. There's a refrigerator, but we do tell students it's not a place where they should be keeping food for any long-term use. It's more like if they're cooking something, they need to keep something cold. And there's a sink. We do have it outfitted with some pots and pans and such, as well as like cleaning supplies, but it doesn't have other cooking supplies in them. Students are allowed to hang things on the wall. We recommend, there's something called like poster putty. Command hooks usually do okay. Every room, what you stick to it works a little bit differently. So, but they are allowed to put things on the walls. We ask no screws into the walls that were Molly clips. On the early check-in, it occurs, it's 5 to 7 across the board, the whole entire place. And again, there's no appointment for that. If you get here early, please don't start banging on doors and asking if you can get in early. Our team is working right up until the moment that we let everybody in to get the stuff and spaces ready for them all. I actually recommend coming at like 6 or 6:30 when traffic has really diminished. We get more people at the beginning than we do at the end. We do allow for bed risers. We allow for up to 8 inches. We do not provide for lofts. Danielle or Trevor, were there other questions that you saw a lot of that you would like for me to highlight?
I think you covered most of them.
Awesome. And I did just see that last one. Please know that, yes, we have activities starting on that Friday night with our residence halls. So that's why we recommend folks to be done in the room space by about 4 o'clock so that the RA will start going around and gathering folks, getting them to dinner, getting them to different activities for the evening. And Danielle provided a really great comment here about making sure to label your boxes so that we can assist the Blue Hen helpers. And even if you're not using Blue Hen helpers, you know, here you are, and I can just imagine this myself right now, telling a family member, go to room, up, and they heard it once, but they've forgotten it 5 steps later. And that's okay. It happens because, again, it's going to be a busy day. So making sure, especially like if you're in one of the Harrington buildings, for example, we have a handful of buildings that have Harrington A, B, C, D, E, making sure the building and the number are both on those pieces, as well as the student's name. So if something is found erroneously, we are able to make sure it finds its way back to its owners. Thank you, Trevor, for putting in that UD Connect app link. I use it all the time, even as a personnel. It's one of those things that's really handy. Emergencies gets it there. There's other services that are on that app as well. So real important. I highly recommend for folks to utilize it. There's a question about students supplying their own toilet paper in the suite style spaces. Students are going to want to supply their own toilet paper in our traditional style spaces that's provided in the communal bathrooms. For students moving in on Saturday, they don't need to participate in Friday Welcome Day events because again, there's different stuff / same stuff happening on Saturday as it is on Friday. So there's nothing that they would be missing out on specifically. It might be a different DJ on Friday night, say, than it is on Saturday night, but still if there's a dance party on one night, it'll be provided on both nights. Microwaves are okay for the rooms. And again, on our FAQ on our website, you'll see what the maximum wattage is for those pieces. I see Danielle's answering this, but I want to talk about a little bit about carts. We do have carts available. We don't have one per student by any means. We do our best to have the numbers for what might be coming in at a check-in appointment time, but you should expect that there could or could not be one. So make sure that you're being prepared for that. Our carts are only available in buildings where we have an elevator in them. On that moving guide, just to kind of say it out loud, the moving at udel.edu/move-in. There's a question about reading in a triple. Every triple is a little different. If you are in a triple FY, it is unlikely that there's going to be a floor plan for all of the beds to be unbunked, but you can, and I don't always recommend utilizing your own tools for that. Every bed is different. Our facilities crew, and this would be the carpenter crew specifically, are available all day on those move-in days. So they will be around and respond to the request for any kind of unbunking. They will not do it ahead of time, though, if there's a request ahead of time. On the request for shipping items early, Danielle's providing some information. We'll also have some additional information on our moving guide provided about shipping items to our spaces and the exact mailing addresses. You can get that fridge if you're going to do the rental program. You can get that micro fridge rented now. You'll have to go back into their system to make sure that you provide the accurate address at the point that you have that, but you're welcome to go in and do it now. Oh, I love that somebody already called out who to utilize for getting that request for whether it's the bunks or maybe you find, our staff do really great inspections of the room, but maybe you find something wrong. You're going to send an email to fixit@udel.edu as quickly as you can, and those folks will be right on it. They're amazing on that opening day. They are just everywhere. And yes, if your student wants to come on the 23rd, even if they've already been welcomed and have a spot for an early arrival program, with that program, you still have to have your students sign up with us. So students, make sure that you go into the My Housing portal on our website. It's that big yellow button at the top that says My Housing portal, and you'll be able to either to sign up for that early check-in time frame. In Harrington furniture is a wardrobe. So only our rooms with closets, and those rooms with closets are primarily in our central corridor. I know that Smythe has closets. They have, I think, the coolest closets for a residence hall room I've ever seen, if I'm being honest. But most of our spaces have a wardrobe, not a closet and a dresser. And again, yes, if your student is in a suite, they're going to want to, there will be a roll of toilet paper when you arrive, as well as there is a heavy duty shower curtain liner that's in there. So, it is not transparent. It is a thick plastic liner. Your student is welcome to put a a like a cloth curtain, you know, for decorative purposes, but there is a liner and there will be a roll of toilet paper. But moving on from then, that student, we're going to want to provide their own toilet paper. We do permit coffee makers in our residence halls. That's completely fine. So do windows open in all the dorms without AC? Yes. If the place does not have AC, windows absolutely open. If your space has air conditioning, it is unlikely that the window opens. So that is to really do climate control in the building. I'm sorry if the move-in link above is returning an error message. We'll take a look into that, but I can click it up real quickly, or Danielle or Trevor will get that real quickly back into the chat. In terms of your son not receiving a roommate information, again, without knowing who they are, it's unlikely that they don't have a roommate at this point because we are pretty full. But if you want to order that microwave now and find out that you'll want to see who the roommate is. They might be getting assigned a late roommate. And if they order both, our microwave company actually contacts us and or will contact the student, whoever has ordered the fridge, and ask if they, most students can't have two. Sometimes a student has an accommodation need where there's permitted more than one refrigerator in the room. But that company is really good at the point that they get all the details to make sure that they get the right information. As to a limit of how much wall space can be covered, we have lists about the wall space. We do not allow coverings on our ceilings. Our residence halls do not have printers in them. You'll find that most, we do have some printer stations out and about in the community. And if you go online, our IT group, our information technology website is simply udel.edu/help. And you can find out where printer stations are if you type in printer stations in their search box. But most of our faculty these days and other instructors are typically asking for items to come electronically. Students, you already should have logged into Canvas. I know that there is an NSO module in Canvas where you're getting information. There's some other really handy ones, but I know I teach, a first-year seminar class, and I require all of my items to be submitted electronically through Canvas. We are a highly electronic campus. There are things like labs that might need to be printed out, but again, for the most part, especially if your student's not in a lot of science courses that would require specific printouts, they probably will do okay without one and finding a space around campus. There's a question around, I think I just saw this. Are small air conditioners allowed? They are not. So if you're students, if you're in a building where there's not air conditioning, you're welcome to bring many a fan. I oftentimes see and pass by rooms that have 2 fans in the windows. I often recommend a pedestal fan for inside the room versus a floor, like a box fan or something that would sit on top of a desk or other unit, because there's not a lot of surface space. So that's where a pedestal fan is a little more convenient. For as per how common is it for students to bring printers, I'm going to say I really don't know the answer to that. I know some do, but at the same time, I don't. In terms of the heat that's provided, it's a lot more complicated than that. It's not a home unit. We work on a major system of chilled and hot water running through pipes. So in my parents' house, where I had radiant heat, I'll call it, right? So it's not, and it might come through a coil unit where it's blowing, but it is not like what you've got in a space. There is UD carbon monoxide protectors. If you're welcome to purchase your own though, if you wanted one in a space. The lane room have mirrors. I'm not going to say that I know or don't know the answer to that question, and I apologize because every room is different. The bathrooms, the common bathrooms do have a garbage can that a student, like if they're in the bathroom and, blow their nose or something like that, certainly they can throw that away in there. Students will be provided a trash can and a recycling bin per room. So I actually have This is the size trash can. So you see it's not real big, and the same size recycling bin. Students are like, say students have, they've made some food or something like that, or they just got some takeout or, whatever it might be from the dining hall. If they have trash from that, they should be throwing that away in their own receptacle, not in the common receptacles. So lots of students bring televisions, but there's not cable in our residence halls. A lot of students I know stream and are utilizing those televisions for gaming purposes. As for hot pots, again, that's in our, I think everybody has a slightly different definition of a hot pot. So I would encourage you to look at our what to bring or what to leave at home items to see whether or not your item would be considered in that. In Harrington, there is not a side table next to the bed. And again, I encourage you to take a look at the virtual tour of Harrington for those pieces. Window dimensions are different in each building, so and sometimes it's different in each room. So that is really dependent upon our space. I cannot provide the desk dimensions in Reading. I've heard that other calls were newer, small. The only places that have smaller than Reading are the Lane and Thompson and our South Academy. I encourage you to take a look at the virtual tour. In the virtual tour, there is a measuring tool. You can play around with that. Again, getting an exact measurement might be a little tough because the desk might be a little bit different than what you're seeing in that space, but for the most part, they're all about the same. I love the question. Speaking of takeout, can orders be delivered right to the dorm, main dorm? Yeah, a lot of our local delivery folks know which building is which, but they are not, and they're not permitted to go inside. So they're not going to like go up to the person's room. The student's going to have to meet them outside. Every now and then I see students, you've ordered something and some of the delivery services like leave it outside and like just sitting there at the door. So be sure that you've given good directions about what to do upon arrival. Students are responsible for throwing away their trash. So if they're in a common space and maybe they're in a lounge and they're writing a note, if they've got they're writing through some notes, it's fine. If they had some trash and they want to put it in the trash can, that's theirs, that's right there. But really it's if they're eating in that space, they should be taking that food trash with them. For mailing packages, there will be specific directions on where to mail packages and mail, depending upon the building that the person's going to. And then each package delivery service might go somewhere slightly different. United States Postal Service items almost entirely come to the residence hall. If something is being sent via Amazon, UPS, or FedEx, or other delivery system, those are typically sent to our centralized package spaces, regardless of what the address is that it says on our site, because that's where those services deliver to. There's a question about a triple room with a lower bunk. Can you be raised at all? It could be raised a little bit. It's really about how much space the student wants and how much space is between that one and the top bunk, and could it be raised a little bit? Again, every room is going to be a little bit different. Preference about that person that's on that lower bunk, and we want to make sure there's at least 2 feet of clearance if they were to sit up, so a little bit differently. So when your pails are filled, you're going to empty them to a nearby dumpster. There's dumpsters located next to just about every building on our campus. For moving in early, how empty the residence halls those first 2 days? We typically have, if on that Wednesday, by the end of that early check-in day, we typically have about 1,500 students across the campus. That's combining first year and returning students. So it's not empty, but it's not completely full. Rugs are allowed. There are no rugs inside our residence hall bedrooms, with the exception of university courtyard apartments, where none of our first year students will be living. So if students want to bring rugs, I always recommend a 5x7. Unless you really want wall-to-wall carpeting, and moving all that furniture to make it wall-to-wall carpeting can be really, really challenging. A 5x7 rug will get that center space typically between beds, etc., that folks usually want to have, what they step onto when they're getting out of a bed. And again, I apologize, I'm not able to answer questions about specific rooms and about mirrors, because that's not what I have. About filtered water, I know some folks asked about water stations, and again, they're not in every residence halls, but they're in a lot of the spaces. Will there be parking space big enough if you have an enclosed trailer? Yeah, there's definitely a parking spaces available. Getting around and maneuvering something with an enclosed trailer will be challenging. So please be patient, and please make sure that who's ever driving that vehicle knows what they're doing. You all have asked phenomenal questions, and I really do appreciate your time and your questions and your willingness to engage with us with so many people online today. Again, I think I've highlighted flexibility is going to be super important, because you might not know. But what I can tell you is that on that day, we're going to be there to help you out, figure it out, and make sure as students that you're getting engaged and getting the experience that we know that you're looking for at the University of Delaware. We'll do our best to provide that for you and engage with you in creating that experience. Again, this presentation will be done again on August the 2nd. We'll probably have a slightly increased piece on that. I don't know if there's going to be a transcript, but I believe that this has been recorded and will be posted. So note that that's going to be something that's available. And again, the one that's on the 2nd, it will be similar, potentially slightly different, especially as we get closer to that time frame when we have more of the details to be able to fill in that will be able to help y'all out. And again, we welcome you to visit our move-in website. And again, if you take that QR code with your phone right now, if you're not on your phone already, to take a look at our FAQ, which can be found on our website, which is udel.edu/reslife. Just now, I'll be in the trenches with you, getting a student moved into a triple, and it'll be an exciting time, because if there's nothing else all these years, the one thing I've been most looking forward to is bringing a student to campus. I feel very fortunate that my student will be able to do that.
Right. Thank you so much, Michelle. That was fantastic. I'm sure you all have tons more questions, but as Michelle said, we have an FAQ. The contact information is on the screen if you'd like to send an email. Once again, thank you for joining us. We encourage you to check out the calendar for our upcoming live NSO sessions. If you haven't attended any of them, this was one of them. You can find them in your Canvas course or on the Blue Hen Family Hub. So if you want to, ask more questions, you can join us for the next session with residence life and housing. If you have any questions about virtual orientation or anything like that, you can also email us at otp@udel.edu, and we can connect you if you're having any troubles with finding any of the webinars or any of the online sessions. All right, thank you all, and have a wonderful evening or day wherever you are.